All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending another Pro Huddle, especially one that's at the very end of the fiscal year. So I know the majority of us are all trying to crank through some stuff, especially our office. We've got a lot of things we're working on. So this one is going to be kind of a quick and dirty one. It's something I put together because I feel as though there may not be enough understanding and guidance to CRC, how it functions, how it works, what people should anticipate. So I thought it was a good one to throw in right now that can assist everyone, but is a quick and an easy one to get through. So it's just going to be me talking. I'm going to go over the Contract Review Committee, CRC, as a refresher, and then the knowledge nugget is just going to be touching on year-end status. So jumping straight into it. I did cover this topic back in August of 2022, I believe it was, is when I found it. Not necessarily incredibly thorough. It was a portion of that presentation, but I'm going to go over it again, point you in a direction of some cheat sheets and templates, and try to make sure that everybody's aware of what the expectations are, what you need to plan for, etc. So the first thing is, what is CRC? Well, Procurement Regulations Section 15 is what covers that. I've just put some of the information here. The second bullet is what is listed as the purpose of CRC verbatim in the regs. So in quick terms, it's a committee that's put together to review procurement items that fall under certain categories or certain thresholds, et cetera, and I'll get to that, relative to Montgomery County procurement. It's a very big summary. CRC is held every Thursday at 1 p.m. via Teams. I will say that is there an opportunity for emergency ones? Yes. Has it ever happened since I've been in this position? No. So it's not something you should expect. But I am putting it out there that should somebody be in that type of predicament where it is truly an emergency and needs to be taken care of, yeah, we can do it. One thing that causes a struggle with that is that with the Maryland Open Meetings Act, we have to have an agenda and it needs to be posted a certain amount of time in advance. So just be aware of that. That's why we have a set time on a set day, so that we have a regular schedule to get everything squared away, get the reviews done, get the agenda posted, and then hold the meeting. The CRC members, it has to be, so what is CRC? The people who need to be there are the CRC members. It has to be a minimum of 2 of the voting members and an advisory member, the using department staff, and then procurement staff. It all needs to be in attendance. So the discussion that we are holding has the appropriate people there. Who is the Contract Review Committee? So it's the chair, which is designated by the CAO. They are a voting member. The director of procurement or a designee, they are a voting member. Director of OMB or their designee, they are a voting member. And then the county attorney or their designee, and that is the advisory non-voting member. The makeup of the CRC right now is the designee by the CAO is Fariba Kasiri. The designee from our office is me. The designee from OMB is Chris Mullen. And then the county attorney is Megan Green. Duties and responsibilities. These are not verbatim to the regs. Feel free to go to the regs and check that out if you want full word-for-word information. But these are the primary things that CRC is responsible for and manages during our CRC meetings. Approving sole source procurements over the threshold for an RFP or IFB, so that's $100,000, because $100,000 or less can be done by the director in our office. Approving change orders or amendments to a contract that is valued above the threshold for an RFP or IFB. Approving contract extensions beyond the original term. The exceptions are if there are renewals allowed in the actual contract, then that's obviously just going to be managed through the contract process. Or if it's one single extension for 12 months or less. So basically, if you run out of your renewals and you still need that contract for that first set of extra 12 months, that can be done by the director of procurement. So that goes to our office, and we would review it and make a determination on approval. Anything thereafter would then go to CRC. Considering procurement matters referred to CRC by the CAO, county attorney, director, or using department head. Recommending resolution of solicitation protest appeals, and considering other procurement matters as provided in regs. Another thing that you would often see is, a request for waiver of the regs. It has to go through CRC for a recommendation or to the CAO. One thing I will point out is no, it is not required that CRC recommend it to the CAO for the CAO to review it. There may be times that you bring something to CRC and it is not recommended. What you do with it beyond that, that's on you. But just putting that out there, because not everything, a lot of times when stuff's brought to our attention, it may be more complex than just, sure, let's do this. So be aware that there's the opportunity for CRC to not recommend something and not approve something. Don't assume you're going to come to CRC and just slide right on through and everything's going to be good. Questions are going to be asked, discussion's going to be had. But so long as you come prepared and any complexities to things are ironed out on the front end, we should be good. The authority is derived from procurement regulations and the CAO and records associated to this. So it is considered a public meeting and it's subject to the Maryland Open Meetings Act. It's live to anyone who's interested in participating. So that includes anybody in the public, reporters, whoever wants to be there can be there. The agenda and the link are posted online, so it is truly a public meeting. And it must be a public meeting if there's a quorum, which again is 2 voting members and advisory member. The agenda must be established and publicly posted. That has to be up 48 hours in advance. So that's why we have the schedule that we've set on the submission from the departments, the review internally by the by the procurement specialist, the manager, and then myself, in order to have it posted by 1 o'clock on Tuesdays. That's the 48 hours in advance. That's required by the Maryland Open Meetings Act. Minutes must be taken. Again, that's another requirement from that law. They have to be taken and publicly posted. So we do end up taking all of the motions and minutes on the decisions that were made and publicly posting those for anybody who needs them. So just an FYI, I did have this posted on the one back in 2022, but we do have a cheat sheet and templates that you can use. I will show you that really quick, actually, just so you're aware. A lot of this up on the top is some of the stuff that I'm touching on in here. I'm summarizing a lot more. You can go to this and read it. This is found on our intranet CRC guidelines, but it gives you general guidelines for the makeup, what to expect, how to handle it, what usually does not come to before CRC, things that you should do, like little tidbits of you do need to plan ahead and show up on schedule, etc. And then here are checklists and some templates basically for different scenarios. You've got a non-competitive, you've got amendments, modifications, change orders, and you've got extension beyond the terms. Those are all primarily the things that typically come to us. So we have things that exist that can help you with your memos and what you come prepared with. So please use that resource. Again, I pointed it out in 2022. It's still there. It still exists. We have updated it to make sure that all the information about, like, you have to submit it by Wednesday, the week prior, all of that is in there based off of how we handle things now. So this does exist. But how to prepare for CRC. Please ensure a complete and thorough CRC package is submitted via ProDirect by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, 1 week before the desired CRC meeting. So, for instance, if you want to be on, there is no CRC next week, so let's just pretend. Next Thursday, there's CRC. If you wanted to be in that meeting, then you would have had to submit something by 5 p.m. this past Wednesday. That gives us internally the time to review everything, ask questions that we need to ask, and again, get the agenda up by 1 o'clock on Tuesday. Ensure the appropriate parties will be in attendance to speak on any technical, administrative, budgetary, or operational items that may need to be discussed. Some of the key people are typically the contract administrator, your subject matter experts, the operational teams that may be involved with whatever it is we're discussing, and then someone knowledgeable of the affected budget, because Chris from OMB does ask, does it fit within your budget? Like, can you absorb it? And I'm going to be honest here, everybody just says yes. However, I strongly recommend y'all truly ensure that somebody has approved whatever the budget is and that it does in fact get covered okay, and you won't run into issues, because there have been many times that the answer's been yes, something's been approved, and then all of a sudden everybody's scrambling to try to find a way to get money for it, and that's not really how it should go. So someone who can speak to the budget is likely advisable to be there just in case discussion needs to be had. And then the other thing is to relax. I know that we're going to ask questions, but trust me, the majority, and I have a note later on, but the majority of questions may likely be asked before CRC, because if I get a package that doesn't have, excuse me, clear information where, like, I feel like we can truly have a discussion if necessary, then I will reach out to the departments and say, hey, I just need to better understand what you mean by this. Or I know that X, Y, and Z is also going on, so I'm trying to understand, is this tied to that? Like, I take background information that I likely have or additional clarity that I need, and typically I will reach out and just make sure that I have all my ducks in a row of understanding, is this good to go? But so I say that because most stuff should be relatively ironed out on, okay, what is it you're trying to say? These are the things that I need you to make sure you bring to the forefront for clarity for the committee as a whole. So relax, we'll get through it. It's not intended to pin you on a wall and put the spotlight on you or anything like that. It's just, we need to have a discussion. It's a meeting that has to happen, and we just need to talk like two human beings. 4 or 5 at a minimum human beings through an item for work, right? So just relax. What's the process at the CRC meeting? So just so you know, I know there are a lot of people that come to CRC often. I don't know what that says, but there are a lot of people who don't come really at all. And so I know that it's confusing as, well, what exactly is going to happen? What am I supposed to do? When am I supposed to do it? All of that. So just so you know, we will have presented on the screen the list of items for CRC. The chair will announce each of those items and ask, once we read through what that item is, the contract number, the contract, the vendor name, and what the item is the action is, then the chair will ask the department representative to speak on behalf of the item. So once the chair announces all of that, we hand it over to the department. So you just start going. The department rep will present their item with all the required information. I have information on that on the following slide. So once you're done presenting your information, covering all the things that I will be noting, then the committee members are given an opportunity by the chair to ask questions and discuss any details that are necessary in order to come to a motion. So just be prepared. But again, so long as you have a thorough package that covers the details that I'm trying to explain in this presentation, and also that you can find some tidbits on in the cheat sheet, then you really shouldn't have much of a problem. But then after any discussion or questions, the department would have an opportunity to respond to those, and then a committee member would make a motion, and then in order to move forward, another committee member would have to second that motion, and then the chair will announce the final decision. Again, whether that's approve, not approve, recommend, don't recommend, any of that. So that's the process of it. And then once that motion is made, seconded, and then the final decision, that's it. You're good. You're done. We're on to the next item. All right, so what do you need to cover? So after the chair announces your item, the department representative has to verbally state the following. And when I say, and the committee members can't do this for you, because when I say this, it's a public meeting, it's being recorded, we're taking minutes. We need y'all, as the ones making the requests for these actions, to put on record what it is you're asking for. I can't sit there and read from the memo that you've submitted. This is your opportunity to present your argument and your details to us for us to vote on. Okay, so you need to do it. One thing I will say, that does not mean read your memo word for word, because sometimes I get 3-page long memos, and a lot of it is very good information for background for us as voting members to have and just have the understanding of it. But it doesn't mean all of that needs to be read word for word in CRC. So these are the things that I would say I need to make sure y'all have verbally noted for the record: the contract number and vendor name, what action it is you're requesting of CRC, whether it's a non-competitive, whether it's an extension beyond term, etc. What procurement regulation you're using to justify the request, any time associated to the action. So if you're asking for a non-competitive, a sole source thing, then, okay, you're asking for a sole source contract. How long? 1 + 2, whatever the case may be. If you're asking for an extension beyond term, how long? And then also for those, do you want a kick-out clause so that if you get something in place prior to that extended term, that you can then terminate with, this language already set up in the amendment that would be processed. You need the estimated or actual dollar value associated to the action. I say that because sometimes it's actual dollar amount because it's a very particular project that has a very particular estimate, and then that's it. Or I say estimated, where it's a requirements type thing, and it's like, we think will be, it's a requirements type contract that you have an extension beyond term for a year, and there's no guarantee that you're going to use it at all, but our typical annual cost is X, Y, or Z. So that's why I say estimated or actual. It depends on the circumstances. Y'all should be able to make that determination easily with your circumstances that are at play. But and then any substantive information that would provide background of the request. So where did this come from? Why are we here? Why did you come to CRC? Because we are in a predicament of this. And let's use extension beyond the term, for example. We need to extend it because this program can't just stop because it's helping with food for children. And so we can't just stop it, but we put out an RFP and we didn't get any responses to it. So we're actively working on another procurement process, but until we can get that squared away, we need an extension. Cool, great. It tells me that you've made an effort, and it's not you just sitting on it and all of a sudden realizing, oh, our contract's expiring. You have done something about it. You're still trying to work on it. But for the sake of this still being active and us still feeding children, you need the extension. Fantastic. We're good. And then the logical justification for the request. So the background is we've done X, Y, and Z, and so now we're here, and this is our reasoning for why we're making this request. The justification shouldn't be, well, nobody was paying attention and the contract was about to expire and we really need this. I'm sorry, but y'all should be on top of your contracts better than that and be able to know when it's going to be expiring, so that at least maybe you're able to come to CRC and say, when we identified this contract was expiring, we worked with our procurement specialist, we have been drafting a new IFB for this, and we're actively engaged in the procurement process in order to put out a new competitive solicitation, whatever the case may be, right? But bring something to the table for both the background and the justification of moving forward with your action and your requests. Okay, and then this note is what I was saying, where I may reach out prior to CRC. So just so you know what the process is internally in our office. Y'all submit your package by 5 o'clock on Wednesday. Thursday, the procurement specialists have the opportunity to review it. If they get through all of their stuff and say, yes, everything's good, like all the information's in the memo that I need, what they're requesting is allowed in the contract or whatever the case may be. If they're good with it, they approve it, it moves on to their manager. Their manager runs their eyes over it, makes sure all is good, and then it comes to me. And they have Friday. Then it gets to me Monday. So that's why typically, if I ask questions, you probably won't hear from me till Monday, just because it's gone through our other reviews. When it gets to me, if I have questions, again, it's more into the detail of things. And this is more of me as a committee member. I want to make sure that it is clear when you're presenting the details that actually need to be stated, right? Like okay, we were asking for this and you're saying it's because of, what do you mean when you say it's because of that? Is it because we weren't paying attention to the time frame that was needed, or somebody else delayed you because of X, Y, and Z? Oh, if somebody else delayed you, okay, that is a key point that would be really helpful to the committee to make their decision, right? So that's the type of thing I'm talking about. I'm not going to hash it out with you, talk to you about what the decision is going to be from like what my vote is going to be. Nothing like that's going to go on. It's just going to be, I want to make sure there's enough clarity here so that if there would be benefit to the other committee members for us to either update the memo, or me just to point out, hey, if that's the case, you need to make sure that you are stating that, like, it's not stated in your memo. So at least if you state it in the meeting, it can be, on the record, whatever. So again, I might do that. If you can't give me answers that I feel are comfortable enough and clear enough to move on, if it's not ready for the public meeting, then I may defer it or potentially withdraw it altogether until it seems as though whatever the issues are can be ironed out. Because sometimes it's a request is being made, but we haven't looked at other options, where I'm looking at it and I'm like, hey, did you know that so-and-so department has a contract for that? And they're like, oh, no, I didn't. Okay, great. Maybe you don't need to come to CRC. Let's check that out first. And then if that doesn't meet your need, then come to CRC. So it's stuff like that. Just try to iron it out on the front end if we can, and eliminate the need to go to CRC if possible, or ensure that when you do go, you're covered, you hit the points that are necessary to help all of the committee members make the best decision for the county. So that's like I said, that was a quick and dirty version of going over CRC and some of the things that I needed to point out, because it's what I'm seeing is happening at CRC. There's just confusion, not understanding. I'm having to prompt a lot of people to just get certain information. So please prepare, use the cheat sheet, use the templates, make sure you have thorough information. Don't assume everything's just going to be quick and easy. Like, there is information that needs to be put on record. But yeah, so that's the broader concept of CRC and what needs to be covered. Knowledge nugget is, and this is just because of where we're at in the fiscal year, like, knowledge nugget is, y'all, we're down to the wire. And I can tell you there's been stuff still coming in. The last day for stuff was the 24th, because exactly what I'm trying to prevent from happening is happening, where people are delaying their stuff. It's getting to our office and it's crunch time, and it's coming to us incomplete, not checked against contract pricing. And this is stuff like, we've already hit May 15th was the requisition deadline without review. That date started additional review. June 5th started the other additional review. Okay. When I still get something yesterday or today that has already now gone through all of those reviews, and it gets to us, and we're the ones that are checking on the contract compliance side of it, and the pricing still doesn't match the contract, why? Like, that's a key point, that it should never leave the department until y'all have checked that and everybody can say, yes, it's exactly per the contract, and we shouldn't have an issue with this. Because guess what happens now? It gets tied up. We have to deny it. It's Friday before, you don't even have 3 business days left, and we have to deny it. Y'all still have to go and fight with the vendor to get prices figured out. And then there's potential that if something significantly changes, it may have to go back through all the review process again. So there's a reason we set the dates that we set. There's a reason I started adding that last day to submit like the fiscal year actions, and give our office a buffer because of stuff like this. We have high volume that we're trying to process that is still stuff that people submitted when they were supposed to submit it, right? Like, all these deadlines had stuff coming with them, and we've been working on it, and people met certain deadlines, and those are the things that we're ensuring is going to get taken care of by the end of the fiscal year. But when stuff trickles in today on dates that are past the submit action dates, and it's still not right, I'm telling you now, I can't guarantee it's going to be done, because we can't control the department then fixing stuff, and then additional parties who have to review it potentially, then getting it back to us, and then it getting approved on time. I can tell you that I look at my staff's dates or my staff's work hours the same way as everybody would expect their work hours to be looked at, right? So on Tuesday, I expect my staff to be able to be completed by the close of their business day, because we have gotten everything done that was submitted timely, correctly, thoroughly, and done. Stuff that comes in last minute, stuff that comes in incorrect, is not guaranteed to be done. I'm just putting that out there now. I don't know what's in the water this year. There seems to be a lot of issues coming up. I don't know if there's something that we can do to assist you on the front end before we get to the very end of the fiscal year to try and make these things get ironed out a little bit better. Please use your CPAs. They may be able to assist, but for your sake of you getting what you need in a timely manner, we need y'all to do it in a timely manner. I guess that's where I'm at. That's my soapbox for the end of the fiscal year. Got 2.5 more business days my staff, they are doing an amazing job cranking through things, and we're still getting new stuff submitted. Even new requisitions are apparently being submitted into the OMB site. So do I respect the fact that I am very well aware there are things that are outside of the department's control on some of those? Yes, I'm smart enough to know that. However, I also know that a lot of these things are just, I need y'all to pay attention to the details, please. It will save everybody wasted time and make sure that you, and it will allow us to make sure you get what you need by the time you need it. That's my plea. Other than that, future Pro Huddle topics, encumbrances and liquidations, vendor CA scorecard is still in the works or in the plan of discussion. And then obviously we always have our online open house on the third Wednesday of every month at 10 o'clock. So in the slideshow, in my soapbox, and check the questions. Give me a second. I'm trying to see if it's pulling up. Oh, Sharonda, thank you. Sharonda put in the, she published some information on the SharePoint things. So there are not any questions right now. If you have any questions, please feel free to either drop them in the Q&A now or send me something via Teams or an email or whatever. Happy to answer them. Please be diligent with your year-end stuff. We are trying to make sure we get everybody covered. And happy fiscal year end. We'll see you in the next fiscal year. And it won't be a live event because I've now been told the live events is stopping. So it may look a little different coming out in July. We're going to try a town hall. Don't know what that looks like going out to you guys, but just be aware of that. That it might come to you in a different way. I don't know what that's going to be yet, but we will still have them. It just won't be through a live event. So that's all I've got. No questions are being asked. Thank you. Have a good one.